Good evening. We're going to go over the watch list for the week of March 23rd. It's going to be a lot like the last couple weeks. We're going to keep shorting the pops until something has changed. And right now, nothing's changed. The news just keeps piling on and getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So much is going on that I can't even keep track of it anymore. So I have a unique watch list, and if you're not in the room, you should be. If you're not a subscriber, you're going to miss a big week. And we'll go over some things I'm looking at. One is that there's been a lot going on. I mean, the military, National Guard's active in California, Washington, and New York. So I don't know if that's considered martial law yet or what. And Hawaii shut down. Airlines are shut down, and the numbers are getting worse. So I expect the SPY to go to 200 still, and VIX to go to 100. But while I'm not sure if we're going to have a national lockdown or not, it seems like they're kind of avoiding it for now, but they could come throughout the week. And if that does happen, a lot of things are going to get very volatile and crazy. And when you get people locked in for 2 weeks, they're going to go stir crazy. So you need to start thinking of things that people are going to do when they're like at home. And one of them's like video games and like Spotify music and takeout food. So, or like the food delivery. So I got Roku up first, but we'll cover that in a second. But TTWO, they do video games and stuff. So if it does seem to get some movement, it could go above 110 if it starts to get any interest. And I would think that these video game sites would start making some money. And I know that people are losing their jobs and unemployment. They're saying, last I saw the numbers today were like 30%. They're projecting that unemployment could be 30%, which is just crazy. It could cause like civil unrest or a rise or something. But anyways, even though people are losing their jobs, people will probably buy video games and will buy subscriptions to like Activision, which I'll cover in a second, which is Blizzard for World of Warcraft and whatever stuff they sell. I mean, Hearthstone, and they have other popular, I think Call of Duty's on there. I'm not 100% sure, but people are going to go spend money and buy video games. And so that's why we're going to look at the video game sector, the TTWO, and if it can get green and get over the 106 area, I mean, it could definitely get up into the 120, assuming that it can bounce if the market doesn't sell off too bad. Another one is EA. EA is a big one for video games, and so it's held up pretty good considering the way it's been the last few weeks with the coronavirus. So I mean, if it can get over the 87, even the 90 area, I mean, we could see up to over 100. So EA would be one to watch to see if it can actually get a bounce with any money that they could generate through the lockdown, or what do you want to, not lockdown it yet, but the quarantine time frame, or whatever you want to call it. Another one is Activision, which I've already mentioned, which is Blizzard, and they do, it's ATVI. I always get those two. Okay, yeah, Blizzard, is World of Warcraft, Hearthstone. They have like 6 or 7 very popular video games that will do well, but the free ones will probably end up getting more attention, like Fortnite, but Fortnite doesn't trade on the stock exchange, or other free, like Call of Duty's got the Warzone, I think, and that's free. So those ones will probably end up getting really popular, but I think people will still spend money, because just the other day there was a lineup at EB Games, which is Canada's version of GameStop for Animal Crossing. So people are willing to go stand in line and spread the disease for a video game, and they're going to spend money on it too. So Activision, I think that if it gets over 54, it can get up into the 60. I probably won't trade Activision. I just want to put it on people's radars. I'd rather trade EA or TTWO. because it has a more ATR range. Except, well, the week was 50 to, yeah, I mean, it went that's 7 points in a week. To me, that's, I like stocks to do 7 points in a day. So another one is to watch for Spotify. Spotify is free. You can get premium services and stuff like that. So it could do really well. A lot of people are gonna listen to music. So people could upgrade for premium. So I would watch Spotify over 125, and if it can get over 125, it could definitely get into the 140, even the 150 range on Spotify. Now, going into the other thing is that I saw today McDonald's is closing the United King restaurants, the UK versions, and not even the drive-through. They're shutting them down too. So I don't know if that will happen here, happen in the States. But if it happened in the UK, if it gets really bad here, I think it could possibly happen here too. So, but I would keep an eye on McDonald's, see if it can, get over 150, get over 150, probably get into the 160s if the market's not going too crazy, even possibly fill the gap into 170. And McDonald's right now, the dining rooms are closed, but the drive-thrus are not. Shack is another one. I can't believe Shack is just this cheap, to be honest. Shack will probably be one of the first things I keep an eye on for a reverse over 35. I think it gets to 50, gets into the 50 range if it can get some kind of momentum going. So I'd watch Shack. And Grub is another one. I have not traded Grub. Oh, not Grub. I got the wrong ticker. There we go. Grub does delivery service, so I would keep an eye on this, except for a look at the monthly. The monthly's got like an inverted cup and handle, which usually means it's going to drop more. If it does, it could drop down to 20, but if it could actually get out of that bearish pattern and get over like the 39, it's got room to 50. So I would watch GrubHub for delivery services. I think that when people get stir crazy, and there's a lockdown, they're gonna get food delivered to them or whatever. So it's hard to say. Another one is Papa John's, which I would heavily watch. People are gonna want pizza delivery and stuff like that. A lot of people eat pizza and get it delivered, so they don't have to worry about being in public for their own personal reasons or whatever. So I'd watch Papa John's over like 60. Oh, actually not 60. Where is it? Probably over 50, 53 for moving to the 60s. The ATR is really not that high, but yeah, I think that. Look at this. It went from 47. No, went from 28 to 54 in a week. So that's pretty volatile for pizza. Almost a pizza, Papa John's. Yum is another one to watch. Nope. What is it with me not being able to type the tickers? I'd watch Yum too. And it's getting down here into some critical areas in this 55 and the 50. If it gets below 50, I'd probably grab for a long term on Yum. So I would watch Yum. And another thing to keep an eye out for is, if the government steps in and does bailouts and bails out the airlines. I think the first thing, I'm not even going to look at United Airlines or American Airlines or Delta or anything like that. I'm going to go straight for Boeing, because I think Boeing is beaten down the most, and I think they're going to be the first ones to benefit the most from it, because not only they build the airplanes, but they use Boeing's used in the military too. So they're gonna. I would expect that BA gets a bailout, it's going to have a strong bounce. So I'd watch BA over all the other airliners. And you get also, I'm not sure if they'll bail out the cruise lines, but if they do, I would definitely look at RCL and if it can get over the 30, I'd watch it for a gap fill into the 50s. I mean, this sell off. I mean, the thing was just $135, 2 months ago, and now it's down $20. I mean, that is just a huge overreaction, if you want to say. I mean, those cruise lines always bring back some kind of Mediterranean virus or bug or something like that. I know that's completely different than coronavirus, but I mean, they're known for being a coffin can, if you want to call it. So I would definitely watch RCL if there's a speak of a bailout for the cruise liners, which I don't think they should be personally, but regardless of how I feel, if they do, that's what I would grab, RCL. Another thing to think about is that people losing their jobs, people have bills to pay, and there is some kind of relief being offered here and there from the government, which who knows when that will happen, when people actually start getting money in their hands, and relief for mortgage companies if more are going to step up and offer relief or something like that. I would keep an eye on Visa and MasterCard, because people are going to get credit cards. They're going to max out the cards they have to sustain their lifestyle or hang on to what they have. So I would be closely watching Visa and MasterCard, because I think that credit card debt is going to it's high now, but it's going to go through the roof now with everyone losing jobs. And this thing could last. I mean, people keep saying it's going to last 2 weeks. I think this is going to last in the summertime. I think this is going to be months. This is not going to be weeks. This is going to have a long-term effect. And even if there's a cure and something does, the coronavirus does disappear gradually over the next month or two, the damage is so severe that it's going to take probably several months to possibly even years to recover financially from the amount of damage that this is going to cost to the consumers and even the governments. I mean, so. But Visa, I would watch Visa over, 157 to 170. I think that 175 is probably pushing it. I'm not sure how much of a big bounce we'll get on it, but I would watch Visa and MasterCard. As you can see, Visa and MasterCard, didn't have as significant of a drop as the other stocks that we've been looking at all day, because I think people realize that it's selling off because of the panic, but it's not as bad because I think people are realizing that they're going to, as bad as this may sound, that the credit card companies are going to make money off people jacking up their credit cards to pay the bills, as sick and disgusting as that is, but that's the reality of it. So, I mean, I would watch over 220 to 235, even 240, even 245, even 250. I mean, you can get up to 250 if it can reverse. So, the credit cards watch. I'm not sure if the banks will get a bailout. If they do, I would watch Goldman Sachs. I don't imagine the banks will get a bailout, but I mean, you never know. I mean, Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan would be the two banks I would look for if there's any news relating any kind of talk about bailouts on the banks. I mean, it's too early to tell, but I'm thinking ahead. Anything over 150 on GS to 170, even 180 or 190, I would watch Goldman Sachs. And JP Morgan will pull up. Whoops. I don't know where that just went. Instead of typing a ticker and nothing happened. What's going on? JP Morgan. There we go. I don't understand what just happened. Anyways, JP Morgan over 88 to probably 100. So yeah, I'm not touching Bank of America. I'm not touching Citi. That doesn't move enough for me. I don't care. So, but the other ones to watch for, that we already covered the delivery. We just covered the games and what people are going to do inside the house. Amazon's not really much. They laid off a lot of people. The Prime is pretty much gone. They're not delivering. So, I mean, the other things are like Disney and Netflix. I mean, but they're getting maybe not Netflix. Netflix isn't getting hammered, but I mean, Disney is getting hammered because of Disney Cruise Lines and the theme parks. So, but Netflix is still holding up. So possibly maybe watch Netflix. And Lilly is one to watch because they're a pharmaceutical. I think is a pharmaceutical biotech. Let me see. Gotta double check. Let me just double check. I think it's a drug company. Yeah, drug manufacturer. So keep an eye on Lilly. See if they come out with anything that's related to the vaccine or anything positive in that aspect. Over 128 and probably into the I don't know. I'd probably say 133 to 135. I'd watch Lilly. See if anything comes out of that. We already covered BA. Walmart, I mean, you got to watch the retailers in case something happens with that. Target, I'm not even going to look at that. Target is not something that people are going to go for when they're in dire need of essentials. It's going to be Walmart or Dollar Tree or something like that. So I would watch Walmart probably over the 117, and I definitely think that it could retest the all-time highs. So Walmart is one I'd watch. And speaking of bailouts, if they do a bailout on casinos, which is completely wrong in my view, but regardless of how I feel, if there's a bailout in the hotel industry or the casinos, winners be the first thing I look at, and I would look at it over $60 for. It's probably going to go all the way up to 100 if it gets bailed out. So keep an eye on Win, Triple M. They make the masks. Triple M is could see a reversal if they step up production or if they offer some kind of more ventilators, or do something to help with the coronavirus. Anything over 130 into the 140s on Triple M. Let's see. I think the last one I have is Roku, and the reason I have Roku is I just love trading Roku, even though it's been kind of tough this past week, but I just can't get over how cheap it is. But I'm going to watch Roku. I mean, it's starting to look like it's bottoming out, but right now the ES is down over 110 points, so it's probably going to open up below 70, and it could retest the lows. But I mean, anything under $50, I mean, seems like a steal, but I thought anything under $100 was a steal, and the Roku can keep going. I mean, like with the RCL, I mean, look at how much of a nosedive from 135 to $23. And BA, I mean, BA is probably the one that got destroyed the most. I mean, 350. The thing, I remember when this thing wouldn't get under 320 or even $300. Every time it got below 320, it would pop, and it got to 300 and what was the low of this candle? 302, and it popped, and so it refused to get under 320. And now it's at $95. It's just absolutely madness how low things can go. You can never underestimate how low stocks can go in a panic, because, I mean, yeah, there's a panic right now, but not like there was. I mean, there could be there could be a really big mass panic if Trump gets it, or a big public figure or politicians ends up dying from it, or martial law or total lockdown. I mean, it could go under $50. I mean, there is no limit to how low these stocks can go. So don't think just because it's down this many points that it can't go down anymore, because it can keep going. They could go to zero. So I know I've been ranting and just saying what I think and stuff like that. You gotta anticipate what's coming. There's a lot of things that could possibly come. The Fed could step in. They could pump the market, which with more repos, which they love to do. They could be bailouts on the cruise lines. Could be bailouts on the airlines. It could be bailouts on the banks. I mean, the drive-through restaurants could close. So there's just a lot to think about and a lot to keep an eye on. So that's my plan for the week. Short the pops and watch for reversals on those key stocks. And hopefully this will help. And have a good week.